Hello, everybody. Welcome to Youth Connect. I'm Aiden.
Hi, I'm Kevin.
Hi, I'm Joshua.
Hi, I'm Jeffrey.
And welcome to our Youth Connect. I hope you guys are excited for another amazing episode. I'm just going to say hello, everybody. Welcome to Youth Connect. Another amazing Friday as per usual. We have a ton of news for you guys to check out and for us to share to you. Now, you don't know what Youth Connect is. Youth Connect is a news, interest, entertainment show that was created during the pandemic for the community, by the community. Everyone here is so excited to share with you some news. There's going to be some live music. There's going to be some world news, some animal news, some sports news, some random facts of the day. You don't know what's going to happen. But first things first, the first thing that we always have to do for Youth Connect is obviously myself, and we first start off with some gaming news. Okay, first things first, we have to do our first gaming news. Now, what is our first gaming news? Our first gaming news has to be the Spotlight Game of the Week. Now, what is the Spotlight Game of the Week? Well, basically, it's a game that I want to shine the light on that usually is coming out or has already been released, or sometimes was released today. And today's game has a little bit of a story to it, and today's game is Bayonetta 3. If you guys know, Bayonetta is set to bring the iconic witch back for a brand new action-packed adventure as one of the most anticipated upcoming Switch games. Now, don't worry, you won't have to wait much longer because, like I said, the game releases actually today. And guess what? If you guys have watched the Bayonetta series, this game has been revealed all the way back in 2017. So it's been quite a long time. It's been about 5 years before they finally released it. But thankfully, due to recent stuff and all of that, it is going to be releasing today. There is some random some drama that happens here and there in the Bayonetta 3 community. As much as I want to tackle that, I just want to tackle the game, because the game I played the first and second one, and they're absolutely amazing. And I'm just going to talk about the game part. That's all I'm talking about. So what's the story? Mysterious life forms appearing to be neither angel nor demon attack amid the ravaged streets of the Shibuya area of Tokyo, where Bayonetta then makes a graceful appearance. Why is she in Tokyo, and how far-reaching is the invasion of this new enemy? So in Bayonetta, you will be fighting your way through the streets of Tokyo, the mountains of China, and many other locals. Along the way, you'll meet a virtual coven of Bayonettas, each with more fabulous than the last. You'll also slash and slay monsters as Viola, a feisty witch in training, which fights with a sword and an interesting companion. The demon Cheshire find out what fate awaits Bayonetta in this arcane alliance that can really save reality. Now, this game was huge. First one started with Bayonetta fighting the other witches. Then the second one was fighting the angels. And now the third one is fighting neither angels nor demon. They're fighting a brand new species or a brand new threat to humankind. Now, I love Bayonetta. Bayonetta is a fast-paced action game. You will do thousands upon thousands of combos in this game. And honestly, it's really fun to play. Obviously, you need to make sure that Bayonetta 3 is a game that has a little bit of shooting. So obviously, it is for a little bit of an older audience. So obviously, do check out the game if you are interested in those types of games. I know some people aren't. Some people are into more Mario-based games, and that's okay. But anyways, next up, we have Kevin, and Kevin has with us some all-important news.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. You are tuned into Youth Connect with me, Kevin Aruja. But first, let's go to the headlines. Tory says he will use strong mayor powers to create new city divisions for housing development. Japan's condition on Rogers Shaw deal generally positive. The MLSE released a report on pandemic impacts on youth sports. And Gary Trent Jr. scored 27. Raptors beat rival 76ers. Mayor John Tory says he will be using his new strong mayor powers granted by Queen's Park to create a new development and growth division to move housing forward. Tory made the announcement at City Hall Wednesday morning, saying we're in a housing crisis that has been felt acutely in Toronto. Senior staffs in the city are working quickly to create this division, but it will be a substantial reorganization of the existing staff, so they are focused even more keenly on the process of approval and on the delivery of housing much faster, Tory said. The announcement comes 2 days after Tory pledged in his election night victory speech to move housing forward in his newly won third term. The province has also announced sweeping changes on Tuesday that will override municipal zoning laws in some situations to allow for more construction as they aim to build 1.5 million homes over the next decade. Analysts say new conditions laid out by Industry Minister Francois Philippe Champagne on Tuesday indicated a willingness to get the proposed to $26 billion between Rogers Communications and Shaw Communications across the finish line. The stipulations address the sale of Shaw on wireless carrier Freedom Mobile to Quebecers and Videotron, a key component in the proposed transactions between the two telecom giants. Desjardins analyst says Champagne's conditions suggest he supports the merger and is signaling that the deal would be acceptable if Quebecor has the ability to properly compete in the long term. Investors seem to be pleased with the news as shares of both Rogers and Shaw were up in late morning tradition with 7% and 9.7% respectively. Access to sport has improved since the early days of the pandemic, but a new report suggests that a lack of social ties during a post-pandemic is creating a very significant growing barrier to participation over some Ontario youth. The Animal SE, the parent company of the Toronto Maple Leafs and Toronto Raptors, released a report on Wednesday through their foundation. The report detailed the findings of a race-based study conducted by the Foundation in collaboration with the University of Toronto Centre for Sports Policy Studies. The Change the Game study's findings, based on the responses of approximately 8,000 youth, showed that the pandemic lockdowns had a negative impact on mental health by preventing many youths from participating in sports. The study also looks at the many barriers youth are still faced with participating in team sports and how those barriers change based on race, gender, and economic background. And on the sports news, for an early 6 minutes stretch of Wednesday's win, Pascal Siakam couldn't miss. Siakam had 20 points plus a career-tying 13 assists, while Gary Trent Jr. scored 27 points and the Raptors beat the struggling Philadelphia 76ers with a score of 119 out of 109 on Wednesday, to exact a bit of revenge after last season's playoff loss. Six Raptors scored in the double figures. Scotty Barnes finished with 16 points and 10 boards. OG Anunoby and Fred VanVleet recorded 50 points apiece, and Therese Boucher chipped in with a 13 for the Raptors with a score of 3 out of 1, who had 32 assists on the night and a shot for 16 for 37 from three-point range. The Raptors reached out on a 17-point first half lead thanks to some sizzling three-point shooting and excellent ball movement. And the Raptors reply, and VanVleet's back to three-pointers at Toronto back up by 11 with 3:43 to play. Harden's three with 56 seconds to play sliced the difference to 7. But Barnes, who was back after missing Monday's win in Miami with an ankle injury, converted a three-point play to seal the victory. And on the weather, if you woke up early this morning, you've seen some frost on the grass. However, the weekend is looking bright and sunny with temperatures ranging from 12 to 14 degrees high during the day and lows between 3 and 7 degrees. Monday might bring a chance shower, but temperatures will still remain in double digits. So, guess where I went last week during the PA Day holiday? Yes, of course, I went apple picking with my mom and, of course, my brother. I have been speaking to you about the signs of fall. Apple picking and fresh apple pie are yet another sign of fall. So we so now for our topics of the interesting fact of the week, we're talking about, of course, Apple Farm. With their sweet scent and crisp bite, apples are one of those things that define fall for basics everywhere. Apple picking is the poster activity for fall family time, which means that orchards probably harvest a ton of apples for those 3 weeks out of the year. Once apple trees come to fruition, they do produce a good amount of fruit. Standard trees don't begin bearing apples until they're between 4 or 5 years of age. Interestingly, even when abandoned or neglected from agriculture care, an apple tree can live up to 200 years and continue to produce fruit. Despite their popularity, there are a few fun facts you probably didn't know about apples. China produces more apples than the US, while the apple is one of the most popular fruits in North America. They are not its top producer, but China is first, followed by the US, Turkey, Poland, and Italy. Apples first and foremost originally used for cider because of health concerns in regards to drinking water. Apple cider was served during most meals. Even children drink this stuff, diluted of course. It takes 6 or 10 years for an apple tree to start producing fruit, and apples are a member, of course, the rose family. All that apple talk that has me craving for some apple pie. So we definitely come to the end of my segment. Tune in for next week for an interesting segment of news, weather, and our very own interesting fact. Now over to Aiden.
I gotta say, Kevin, out of all of the news, I always love your random fact of the day, and I always love your background. It's always nice to hear to go apple picking, especially during this time of year. And apple cider is absolutely amazing to drink. Now, I'm gonna just say for everyone here, I cannot believe that apple trees live up to 200 years. That is quite a long time, I must say. And for you guys, what did you guys think about it? So you Joshua, and you Kevin, you Jeffrey as well.
I love the Apple news as well. It's so interesting. I love apples. Just
Apples
so
are delicious.
delicious. Hmm.
I'll also say thank you, Kevin, for the weather. I am very glad it's going to be a bit warmer. I mean, 14 degrees is not really warm, but you know what? It is nice weather. It's nice weather to pick apples, which I guess that's what
Hmm.
you did. Okay, thank you so much, Kevin, for all of your important news. But we gotta go into the
You're
next.
welcome.
We gotta go into the next section, guys, which is the gaming news. And trust you me, guys, I absolutely love this series. If you've seen The Simpsons, you know The Simpsons do their Larry yearly Treehouse of Horror. And every year during October the 31st or the 30th, they usually will kind of like have this episode where they will have a whole bunch of random kind of like mishmash of horror stories and like horror films, sometimes with collaborations with other directors to create these parodies of horror movies or in general just create a horror story in general. And today, we actually a few days ago, but we got information on how it's going to look. And one of them struck me as quite interesting. The Simpsons, if you have seen, has been transformed into anime characters for their upcoming parody of the hugely popular anime series Death Note. And it looks surprisingly good. Released courtesy of Twitter user Out of Context Simpsons Treehouse of Horror, the clip shows an anime version of Lisa Simpson stumbling across the Death Tome, a book that allows her to kill anyone she wants simply by writing their name in the book. Doing so will cause them to meet their death and be dead. Alongside this first footage from Death Tome, several images have also been unveiled from the slice of Treehouse of Horror and show off our first look and several other Simpson favorites in anime style, which include Homer Simpson, Marge, and Disco Stew. I absolutely love it. And if you don't know, released back in 2006 and based on the manga series of the same title, written by Tsugumi Oba and illustrated by Takashi Obata, Death Note follows Light Yagami, a teen genius who discovers a mysterious notebook called the Death Note, which gives him the ability to kill anyone whose name he chooses to write in its pages. Use of the Death Note introduces light to the world of the Shinigami, a species of supernatural monsters, and specifically Ryuk, and will evidently make an appearance in The Simpsons and engage in conversations about death, morals, and everything in between with Lisa. I absolutely love the Death Note, and The Simpsons sometimes does have their running jokes here and there, and sometimes it's really bland. But if you ever want to check out the clip for the upcoming Treehouse of Horror episode, I recommend that you check it out. It's blowing up on Twitter, and I saw it, and I thought that you guys had to know. I know it's a bit more on the entertainment side, but it is also based off of an anime, and it's based off of a game, I guess. So honestly, I absolutely love this news, and I cannot wait for I don't even know. I think they're on Treehouse of Horror 30 or something. The number's way up in there. I can't even keep up. But anyways, though, this has been my second gaming news. And next up, we have Joshua with some good story news and, of course, your very favorite animal news.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Connect Now for a good news story. High schooler self-publishes fantasy novel over COVID lockdowns to distract him from video games. Trying to distract himself from his PlayStation during COVID lockdowns, a London high schooler self-published a fantasy novel that's now selling as far away as Australia. 16-year-old Dylan Brennan started writing novel Betrayed in April 2020 after recognizing he was spending too much time playing video games. The aspiring lawyer said he had long dreamt of publishing a book, and lockdown gave him the perfect opportunity to knock out the first full draft in 9 months. Before the final copy was released in October 2022, writing and publishing a book has never been easier, but at the same time, Dylan's decision to forfeit video games to pursue writing a book speaks to volumes about his character. Yet, at the same time, Dylan's influences were obviously heavily inspired in part by his fantasy video gaming. The right balance is key. The tale revolves around the main character, Lord Simon, visiting the court of close friend King Emanar before uncovering a plot to kill him. It combines the stereotypical elements of fantasy with a sense of community and atmosphere of living in London, he said, and some of the characters are named after his teachers. Dylan plans to study to become a lawyer, but wants to keep writing as a side hustle, adding his aiming for a crime novel next. Now for another good news story. She built $15,000 cottage in the backyard for a brother with autism. A woman built her brother a little house in her back garden and says it's been a game changer. To give him the independence he needs, Tiffany Chow moved back to Hawaii from New York City to look after her 33-year-old brother who has autism after hearing that he was unhappy in his residential home. The siblings, who are both adopted, hadn't lived together for 15 years, so Tiffany was apprehensive about what would be next. What would it be like, because Chris' behavior could be challenging. To better deal with that 36-year-old sister, her boyfriend decided to build Chris his own cottage in their backyard after moving to Maui. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into when I moved back and took in Chris, said the accessory designer. He can be a bit noisy and overwhelming, so we decided if he had his own independent space, just seconds from us, that would be ideal. There was a little structure in their garden, which they are tore down to begin the construction, and she and her boyfriend managed to put the cottage together for just $15,000. Chris got to choose the colors of his house and helped out initially with the build, which was completed in 3 months. In August, he moved in and now absolutely loves his new house. His change has been incredible, said Tiffany. He'll do his dishes without prompting. it's really helped him to be more independent. His kitchen has an induction cooktop. Make sure it's not left on. And Tiffany prepares his food ahead of time in daily portions, which he keeps in his fridge. The home, which was built out of reclaimed materials and fitted with second-hand furniture to keep costs low, it has given Chris a new found independence, and Tiffany and her boyfriend have their own space, which is essentially, especially because they welcomed their new daughter Luna last month. Meanwhile, Tiffany is set to make a big difference for the wider community. She puts up a new element service called Depot Market for adults with disabilities. This service provides a this service provides creative and social job opportunities to help adults like Chris to live more independently. Now turning to animal interest news. What animal has a terrible memory? Goldfish, of course. Everybody knows that. Well, this is an actually a myth, and researchers have been proving for decades that goldfish not only have good memories, but they are even among the smarter fish in the ocean. Recently, Oxford University, a school of goldfish to measure distance, releasing a goldfish into a long, thin tank with black and white vertical strips. The fish learned and remembered how far to swim down the tank before turning around to the start point for a treat. The first time the fish swam down the tank, a researcher immersed their hand in the water at a certain point, a point of distance that was remembered accurately by 8 of 9 fish. On the second swim down the tank, known about recently good memories of goldfish since the 50s and 60s. Colin Brown, an expert in fish cognition at Murkey's University in Australia, told Life Science last year, despite what everybody thinks, they're actually really intelligent. In reality, goldfish have such impressive memories. They've often used a common model for studying memory and learning fish in Brown said. Life Science the Life Science details that goldfish can navigate mazes, escapes nests, can be prompted to complete tasks with a variety of stimuli, including non-hazards like bubbles or music. Brown says goldfish can complete these tasks after months of not doing them. Some pet owners report their goldfish recognizing them for other people, something that is also supported by the science of fish-on-fish interactions. It's time for society to change its tune. The goldfish is a pretty smart cookie and deserves a little more respect around here. This is Josh Shore reporting for Reconnect. That's it for me. Now I'll send it back to you, Aiden.
I cannot even believe it. My mom always said to me, Aiden, your memory is as bad as a goldfish. And now I can tell her, guess what? My memory is as good as a goldfish now. You can't use that term no more. I cannot believe it. I thought goldfish had really bad memory, but I guess scientists prove it otherwise, and they broke the myth. Secondly, for your good story news, I really loved how a sister helped her brother out and made him a home built just for him to make him feel much better, make him feel, more happy, make him feel like he's at home, have a home that actually feels like home. I always love those kinds of stories that you always bring to Youth Connect, Joshua. And what about you, Kevin, and you, Jeffrey? What did you guys think of Joshua's news?
I say the first one was my favorite because I think it's cool that he found something that he can do in his life rather than playing video games. I mean, I don't think you can get tired of doing one thing, but it's always good to do something else in your life, something else that you're good at.
I agree on that. And what about you, Kevin?
For my favorite part would have to be building a $15,000 cottage. It's really good. I mean, it's
That is a lucky brother, I must say.
Yeah, it's very
15,000
great
obviously is a decent amount of money to build like a small home. Thank you so much, Joshua, for your news. And finally, it's time to come to the next gaming news, which is the board game of the week. But as we are doing in tradition, we have to do the spooky board game of the week. Now, I have a bit of a darker one, and it is called Cthulhu, Death May Die. In Cthulhu, Death May Die, inspired by the writings of H.P. Lovecraft, you and your fellow players represent investigators in the 1920s who, instead of trying to stop the coming of the elder gods, want to summon those otherworldly beings so that you can put a stop to them permanently. You start the game insane, where your long-term goal is to defeat Cthulhu. So to speak, at some point during the game, you'll probably fail to mitigate your dice rolls properly, and your insanity will cause you to do terrible and very scary things. Hard to know for sure. The game has multiple episodes, each of them have a similar structure of 2 acts, those being before and after you summon whatever it is you happen to be summoning. If any character dies prior to the summoning, then the game ends and you lose. Once the Elder One is on the board, as long as one of you is still alive, you still have a chance to win. The episodes are all standalone and not set on being played in a certain order or with the same players. It is a bit more spooky, guys. And you know what? I always love a spooky kind of board game. This one is based off of kind of like otherworldly beings inspired by H.P. Lovecraft, which is an amazing writer. He created a beautiful Lovecraftian genre that started so much, and this board game kind of belongs in that Lovecraftian series. So honestly, absolutely amazing. And next up, I would say it is Nebraska's turn, but he is not here today, guys. So I, a member of Youth Connect, will be here to give you some news. And what am I going to be taking? I'm going to take some podcast news. And today's podcast, again, is a spooky podcast. And what is this podcast called? It is called Dark House. At the crossroads of true crime, interior design, and the paranormal, Dark House explores beautiful homes that can't seem to escape their dark histories. Hosts and House beautiful editors Hadley Mendelson and Alyssa Fiorentino dig into the twisted backstories of 4 infamous houses and uncover the strange stories suggesting some inhabitants never left, and that perhaps history isn't the only thing haunting them. Featuring guest interviews with authors, set designers, psychic mediums, and paranormal investigators, Dark House uncovers why these residences and the stories they tell us are so important. I always love a little bit of a spooky podcast, and I love a podcast that tells a story. I'm not much of the news kind of podcast that kind of just talks about boring news stuff, because sometimes I need to see a visual example when it comes to the news, like what we're doing right now. We have some visual examples, and you have me talking about it so you can see me talking about it. But you know what? If you want to see a podcast, learn a little bit about paranormal investigation, like ghosts, or love learning about haunted houses, I recommend that you check out the podcast Dark House. Now, next up is Jeffrey, but before we start, I obviously want to let Jeffrey get ready, and I'll actually bring it up to you, Joshua, and you, Kevin. What did you think of the podcast Dark House, or the board game that I talked about?
Well, I would say it's different kind of podcast rather than board games.
The podcast is something that I wanted to choose a bit on the spookier side. And you know what? I really think that this one is good because paranormal investigation is a huge part. After all, ghosts are one of the top 5 things that people think about when they think of Halloween. And you know what? It's always nice to have a little bit of a spooky kind of story if you're laying down in bed or something like that. You never know. Now, yeah, it's a bit spooky. And the board game as well, a little bit of a Lovecraftian. And a lot of people are into Lovecraftian stories. So, I mean, it's always nice to see that. I would say that Jeffrey's up next, but I do not see him. Oh, he's right there. Oh my gosh, Jeffrey, you gave me such a fright. Oh my goodness. Are you ready, Jeffrey?
Yes, I am.
All right. Let us go, guys. Next up, well, I guess we'll move on to Jeffrey.
Hi, everybody. Hope you're having a great day. This is Jeffrey, your live musician, from playing music for you. And I'm going to be playing an original song that was created by Aiden and myself. And it's called I Have a Song. Now, you might be thinking, that's a funny title. Well, you know what? It's a funny song. So here we go. I have a song. I think you'll like it. Good at this rhyme. Rhyme a lot. Hope you like it. Because it's about to start. I had a fish named Jerry who was found on a ferry. And people said that it could fly, fly, fly. When I tried, it wanted and bold instead. It was all a lie, lie, lie. Jerry swam in the dam like he dipped in his swirl, and he jumped and he bumped. He even gave a fish a tail bump. Come on, Jerry, whoop, whoop, whoop. You were so merry, whoop, whoop, whoop. You went for a dip and then did a flip, whoop, whoop, whoop. I had a snake named Cora. Her mom lived in a bar with skin so smooth and shiny and legs so teeny tiny. Go, go, go! When I tried, she slid. No, no, no. Why you gotta be like that, Cora? I thought you could. Waka, 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 waka. Come on, Cora. Boop, boop, boop. Why you gotta be so Cora? Boop, boop, boop. You slid in with it. My dreams in the dust. Boop, boop, boop. And now this song is bust. Boop, boop, boop. I had a fish named Jerry who was found on a ferry, and people said that it could fly, fly, fly. But when I tried, it wobbled and bobbled instead. It was all a lie, lie, lie. Jerry swam in the dam like he dipped in his world, and he jumped and he bumped. He even gave a fish tail bump. Come on, Jerry. Boop, boop, boop. You were so merry. Boop, boop, boop. You went for a dip. And then he did a flip. Boop, boop, boop. I had a snake named Cora. Mom lived in a bore with skin so smooth and shiny and legs so teeny tiny. Go, go, go. When I tried, she slid. No, no, no. Why you gotta be like that, Cora? I thought you could. Waka 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 waka. Come on, Cora. Poop poop poop. Why you gotta be so Bora? Poop poop poop. You slid and weathered my dreams into dust. Boop, boop, boop. And now the song is a bust. Boop, 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 boop. Come on, Jerry. Boop, boop, boop. Why you gotta be so merry? Boop, boop, boop. You went for a dip and did a flip. Boop, boop, boop. Come on, Cora. Boop, boop, boop. Why you gotta be so Bora? Boop, boop, boop. You slid it and feathered my dreams into dust. Boop, boop, boop. Now the song is a bust. Boop, 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 boop. Thank you, everybody. This is Jeffrey, your live musician. I see you all next week for another jam, and it's back to you, Aiden. Bye, everyone.
Now, that was the song called I Have a Song. It was a song of a fish named Jerry and a snake named Cora. I really hope you like this wacky little song. Me and Jeffrey came up with it, and you know what? It was a goofy kind of song, and absolutely amazing guitar with Jeffrey. Jeffrey always has some great instrumental to add to this amazing song. Now, thank you so much, Jeffrey. And now we have reached the end of our Youth Connect. What a sad time, but you know what? There has to be an ending somewhere. Anyways, if you liked Youth Connect, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
And don't forget to click the notification bell.
Other than that, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you all next week. Grab some apples, pick some fruit. You know what? Make a delicious apple pie. Maybe even make a pumpkin pie. Whatever works. Happy Halloween. Happy month of October. And we will see you all next week. Goodbye, guys.
Goodbye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Much.
Bye.
Bye.